Near-death experiences. What do they reveal about the soul and consciousness beyond death? What happens seconds after we die? In this video, we explore the most stunning real-life near-death experiences, connect them to ancient esoteric traditions, like Kabbalah, Tibetan Buddhism and Hermeticism, and dive into the question, could consciousness survive physical death? Featuring verified cases, quantum theories, spiritual maps, and transformative stories, this video will change your view of life and what comes after. What if the exact moment your heart stops, your consciousness doesn't fade, but rather awakens? What if death is not an end, but the beginning of something infinitely greater, vaster, more real than anything we've ever called life? Thousands, perhaps millions of people across the world claim to have lived what science still hesitates to explain. These are the so-called near-death experiences, NDEs, moments where body and mind separate and something awakens. Accounts of tunnels of light, encounters with luminous beings, life reviews in seconds, and sensations of indescribable peace emerge across reports worldwide. Coincidence? Brain decay? Or glimpses of a reality waiting for us beyond our final breath? In today's video, you'll dive into one of the most mysterious frontiers of human existence. We'll explore what happens seconds after clinical death. Analyze the most striking and consistent real-life stories. Look for explanations in ancient esoteric wisdom. And finally ask, are we more alive than ever the moment we die? Get ready for a journey between worlds, where death is but a veil, and behind it, a universe of consciousness awaits to be remembered. Buckle up and take a deep breath. Your passage begins now. Picture this. A heart that has beaten for decades suddenly stops. A monitor displays a flat line. The beeping halts, replaced by a long, continuous tone. Medically speaking, the person has died. The brain, deprived of oxygen, begins shutting down. But something no machine can detect turns on. The moment of clinical death is, technically, when no heartbeat or breathing is detected. And yet, this is exactly when the most extraordinary near-death experiences begin to occur. Here's where scientific logic can't keep up, and mystery takes the lead. According to a study published in the journal Resuscitation, conducted by researchers at NYU Langone, patients in cardiac arrest reported vivid memories even after several minutes of brain inactivity. They heard conversations, described precise medical procedures, witnessed themselves from above, but they were medically dead. This paradox begs the question, how can consciousness emerge where there is no brain activity? In esoteric traditions, this initial moment is called the threshold of passage. In ancient Egypt, it was said that the Ka, vital energy, would part from the body, and the Ba, spiritual essence, would journey across the Duat, the afterlife realm, guided by the gods. In Tibetan Buddhism, the moment of death is essential. The Bardo Thödol, known as the Tibetan Book of the Dead, describes a transitional realm known as the Bardo of the moment of death, where the consciousness, free from the body, begins to recognize its new state and faces inner projections, radiant or terrifying forms. And strikingly, modern-day NDE reports echo these exact phenomena. Floating above one's body, a sense of detachment, profound peace, and observing the scene as a third-party witness. Could that outer body perception be more than a hallucination? Could it be a very real energetic shift? Quantum physics, though cautious about definitive claims, opens the door. Perhaps consciousness is not limited to the brain, but is a non-local field spread across time-space. Prominent thinkers like Hameroff and Penrose went further, suggesting a quantum-level origin to consciousness, implying death may be a decoupling from a faulty receiver, the body, not a total shutdown. Spiritually, many also describe a sense of choice, a mysterious fork in the path. Some NDE survivors say they felt they could continue onwards or return, as if life and death were two currents of a greater river, both accessible. So what really happens in those first seconds after death? Maybe the universe whispers, "Now you are finally waking up." Imagine opening your eyes in a place where time no longer exists. No pain, no weight, just light. That's how many NDE stories begin. And when we analyze hundreds of them, across religions, cultures, and skepticism levels, startlingly, similar patterns emerge. Floating above the body, watching events unfold. Overwhelming feelings of unconditional peace. Passing through a tunnel toward a radiant light. Encounters with spirits of deceased relatives or beings of light. Complete panoramic life reviews. Sudden understanding of the purpose of life, usually centered around love. One striking case is that of Dr. Eben Alexander, a skeptical neurosurgeon who underwent a deep coma due to bacterial meningitis. With no measurable neural activity, he experienced a vivid spiritual realm. He later described it as more real than anything here. Guided by a telepathic feminine presence through an ethereal sky, he awoke with the certainty that everything is connected through a conscious, loving energy. His best-selling book, Proof of Heaven, proclaims, "The afterlife is more real than anything we've known." Similarly, blind individuals, blind since birth, have described seeing clearly during NDEs. They accurately described rooms, people, medical clothing colors, later confirmed with precision. How do we process that? Is the soul briefly freed from the physical restraints of the body, reconnecting with its true perception? Many also report receiving messages, often transformative. A Brazilian woman, Vera Lucia, claimed she stood in a tranquil meadow where a luminous being told her, "You have not finished. There's something left to fulfill." She revived moments before doctors gave up resuscitation. After this, she radically changed her life, dedicating herself to spiritual service work. This panoramic life review appears repeatedly, but it's not just about watching, it's about feeling. Many say they felt what others felt because of their actions, moments of love or hurt, as if empathy became an immersive experience. Esoteric traditions speak of something similar, the Akashic records, a vibrational memory field where every thought, word, feeling, and action is recorded, not for condemnation, but for reflection. These shared experiences, aren't they more than coincidence? If hallucination thought produces emotional chaos, why do NDEs provoke long-term peaceful transformation instead? Such stories deepen the point. These aren't just experiences, they're awakenings, whispers from the other side saying, "It's not over. You're remembering who you truly are." If NDEs are echoes, then esoteric traditions are the ancient maps. Long before neuroscience or resuscitation medicine, mystics and initiates described, often in great detail, what happens after death, not as an end, but as transformation. In Kabbalah, the soul comprises multiple layers: nefesh, life force; ruach, emotional, mental spirit; neshama, high consciousness; chaya, and yechida, divine spark. Upon death, the lower levels dissolve, but the higher aspects travel upward through worlds of consciousness, Yetzirah, Beriah, and Atzilut, each layer representing a finer, more ethereal vibration. Just as many NDEs describe luminous ascension stages. In Tibetan Buddhism, the after-death journey is the Bardo. The Bardo Thödol, Tibetan Book of the Dead, presents three core phases. Chikai Bardo, moment of death, separation from the body. Chonyid Bardo, luminous reality, encounter with light forms, either peaceful or wrathful. Sidpa Bardo, rebirth. If the soul doesn't reach release, it reincarnates. These align eerily with NDE accounts. Tunnel, meeting light beings, confronting truths, facing choice. Despite the cultural distance, the blueprint is shared. Hermeticism and alchemy describe death as the great work, the transmutation of elements in the soul. Theosophists like Besant and C.W. Leadbeater spoke of a silver cord, connecting the physical and spiritual body, snapping at death, signaling the shift into the astral world. Many NDEs mention feeling this cord, or seeing it glowing faintly. Higher planes of vibration are mapped across teachings, from astral to causal to divine. They are not fiction to esotericists, but stages of return. All these systems point to purification, not punishment, a reviewed awareness, nudging us toward liberation. To die is simply to awaken midway through the dream. What if these profound experiences, the tunnels, the light, the voices, are not dreams, but realities? Science has long tried to explain them away with neural shutdown theories, lack of oxygen, hallucinations, DMT surges. But these fall short when faced with one undeniable fact. NDEs often occur during extended brain inactivity. In the largest study on NDEs, by Dr. Sam Parnia, AWARE Project, 39% of cardiac arrest survivors reported conscious perception while clinically dead, some accurately describing conversations, events, and equipment in the room. These were later verified. How can this be if consciousness is gone? Some now suggest maybe consciousness isn't inside the brain. Maybe the brain is a receiver, and consciousness the signal. A radical but powerful thought. Esoteric paths always said this. The soul never dies. NDEs serve as mini-deaths, or maybe awakenings, and there's a telling result: people change. They return gentler, wiser, often spiritually inclined. No hallucination yields consistent ethical evolutions. Perhaps the point isn't to prove, but to recognize. Maybe the real question isn't, is there life after death? But what do we do with the life we have, now that we know death is not the end? The veil lifted. We saw that NDEs aren't just personal experiences, they're echoes of something greater. Science listens, spirituality nods, esotericism smiles. Death isn't the full stop. It's a sacred comma before the sentence that truly counts. So now, ask yourself, if this is true, what are you doing with your life? Leave your thought below. Type "I remember" in the comments if you feel you've touched the unseen in some way. Subscribe and follow our channel for more journeys beyond the veil, because what awaits us was always waiting within.